put our hands up here. We can go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Trying to find Adam on here.
Adam, you got us?
I don't see his thing.
Adam's stuck. Let's go to Sarin. Sarin, go ahead.
Coach, quick question, and I'll have a follow-up if I could, Brad, about your secondary, just the overall game plan, and was your feeling that we don't want to get beat by Jefferson, and did you feel like you guys executed that plan?
Yeah, I mean, sir, and that was certainly a huge focus. And I mean, I think you saw as the game went on, we, as much as we could, we tried to get LJ on him. It wasn't every snap and it wasn't every call that we had, and I thought he did a really good job being aggressive. We knew he would also be put in the slot because they had done that prior to, and that was a reason for playing Trent more in nickel than he had in the previous game. So it got, two of our best guys on what was definitely their best guy. And I thought overall we did a good job of containing him. I mean, we just didn't want him. He's a game wrecker. We said at the beginning of the week, and we just didn't want him to wreck that game.
And then, listen, I think I know the rule. You can't take your helmet off. And if you do, it's a personal foul. He obviously took his off. It looked like the ref said, put it back on. How do you understand? I mean, listen, I know it's in the heat of the moment. I know those are things that you talk about probably at camp and here and there. But what is your understanding of what that rule is and how it's supposed to be applied?
I'll be honest with you, friend. I did not see it. I didn't see it happen. Wasn't even aware of it until somebody told me after the game. I mean, listen, I don't know how the penalty reads, but apparently you can't take your helmet off. And I don't know enough about the putting it back on, or should it be called or shouldn't be called. I'm glad they didn't. But I'm not really 100% sure on how, they'd officially. I did not see it. Like, I didn't see how he pulled it off, or didn't. I assume he did. But I wouldn't be able to comment on what I thought it should have been.
Go back to Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve, was curious what you see differently in the Broncos offensively and Russell Wilson from what you saw in the two games against them last year.
I will say this, Adam. I do think that listen, I know they haven't been winning games right now. They certainly would be wanting to win more, but I do see an efficient quarterback. If you look at him statistically, he's right up there with some of these other quarterbacks in accuracy and how he's completing the ball. I think they've had some of the similar things happen to them that, Minnesota had going in, a couple of turnovers or a bad play here or there. But I think this offense, and then Sean does a great job with any quarterbacks. He can stress a defense with personnel groupings and motions and shifts. That's always been his thing. And I think this quarterback's getting more and more used to it. I'm really impressed with their backs. We know what they have on the edge receiver-wise with Judy and some of the others. But I think this is an offense that there's not one in the league that we don't worry about going in. And on a short week, we got to be on point to make sure they certainly don't get things going.
Go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, you talked about Hawkinson, before the game as somebody you got to watch, and certainly seemed like the coverage on him worked out pretty well. Specifically, the linebackers that were on him in their coverage, and generally, what did you get the last 3 weeks with Drew getting the playing time that he did in place of Nick?
Yeah, well, we certainly got a real great replacement for Nick, didn't we? I mean, we didn't skip a beat. We didn't change things. That's a credit to Drew and how he operates. Going back to the tight end, I would add in there that our defensive ends helped us out a little bit too. We talked all week long about what we call possibly chucking tight ends as they came off. And I thought Mike Dana did it a couple of times. I know George did. So they helped in defending the tight end. But yeah, I'd give credit to the linebackers and what they did. Leo had that missed tackle early, but other than that, he played really pretty good for the limited snaps he had. And I thought you're right about Drew. Willie ran around a little bit and did some good things for us. All those linebackers helped us out. I wish I'd gotten Jack in a little bit more. The game just didn't dictate it that way. But he was that tight end was a challenge, and I thought our guys overall did a pretty good job with it.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hello, Steve. When it comes to the physicality that L'Jarius has on sort of those one-on-one matchups, what does that do for your overall defense? And is that sort of a trait that is unique compared to some of L'Jarius's peers as those shadow corners?
Yeah, listen, that's been our MO here. I mean, Travarius Ward would do it for us. Rashad Breeland, we had Breeland and LJ just kind of fit right in that same mold. We believe in that philosophically to be a press coverage team. And LJ does it as good as anybody. And the thing about LJ is he loves a challenge. He wants to go against their very best. That's why we do it. And the more, listen, when you have a guy like that, that you have the confidence you can put him on their best guy, I think the other 10 guys rally around it. If they see it, I mean, they saw it 2 weeks ago when he was on the number 17 from the Jets and how it helped us, play good defense in that game. And I think the same thing happened yesterday. We would have liked to have a few less points on the board there, but I thought overall LJ did a really good job. And he'll probably admit to you that he got a little overzealous on the one play. But and all that might help us going forward. So I'm okay with that.
Go next to Jesse. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to see what you thought of Mike Edwards, what you're seeing from him lately.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought Mike up. He's really, we've given him a little bit more playing time. If you've noticed, he went in, I think, second and third series, and he's earned that. He's got a really good feel for the game. I mean, he'd tell you he'd like to have made that catch over there on the sideline. He kind of had it in his hand because he is a ball hawk. I mean, he goes after football. He had interceptions when he was down there in Tampa Bay playing. And I thought he did some really, really nice things for us in the red zone. Dave and I were talking about that this morning. I mean, he deserves to be out there. We got him in certain packages. Maybe we'll get him in a couple others, but really, really glad that we got Mike. Guys like Mike and Drew coming in here and adding to the guys we had has been really, really important.
Last two, we'll go Pete and then Nick. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, I've noticed you guys had Chris Jones out in that 70 to 80% snap range. I guess the first part of my question is, so the ramp up here is complete in a sense, and just how impressed have you been with a sack in each game to start the year here?
Yeah, that's kind of nice. I mean, I'll be okay if Chris started getting multiple sack games. That would be even better. But he had that, and I think he had 3 quarterback hits, so he's always applying pressure. And I will say this: I do think that Minnesota offensive line actually did a fairly good job. Overall, I thought we would kind of be able to get inside a little bit more. And Chris, we moved around a little bit, but all in all, I thought our guys did a decent job. And Chris, when he can finish, I think there was one other opportunity in there. We had a chance to finish with a sack, and he kind of slipped off, or I think Cousins got the ball away. But yeah, I'm waiting for the multiple sack game, Pete. We'll try to get off the 1 per game average and get to the multiple.
We'll go last to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, hey Steve, quick question for you. With the Vikings game yesterday being in that style of atmosphere, and then also going against the skill set that you did offensively, how do you kind of hope that helps this roster in the weeks ahead, knowing that you're going to win against 3 really good receivers, a tight end, good running backs, and the quarterback with that accuracy?
Yeah, I'm hoping that it builds some confidence and chemistry. A week ago, prior to the Minnesota game, I had just taken a quick advance where I read somewhere where, in the next 5 weeks, we were playing really good quarterbacks, guys that were rated in the top 5, and Kirk Cousins certainly is one of them. We're getting ready to play another one. So if we can build on having a little bit of success last week, I think that'll help us going into this one in a short week. And yet, having said all that, I do believe that we could have played better. I think the penalties hurt us a little bit. There were some mental errors in there that I think we can clean up. I think we can be a better unit as a group than we were yesterday. I'm glad that, holding them to 20 points was enough. And it was really kind of clutch at the end there when we rose up. It was kind of nice of Pat to let us finish the game this time. Usually they iron it and they take care of business. But, it was good for our guys to kind of finish the game that way. So hopefully it builds some confidence.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Perfect. We'll start with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, I know the word committee is usually used for running backs, but right now you guys passed Travis Kelce, kind of this wide receiver by committee. And I guess I'm curious, is that sustainable in your eyes, or by the end, when you get to these big playoff pushes and games, do you hope that maybe there's a singular target that maybe becomes that next guy up, similar to maybe Juju was for you guys last year?
Sure. I think for us, it's going to be more of the committee approach. I think the guys, we all kind of understand when you say, a guy like Travis Kelce, him being a tight end, but somebody that like yesterday had 10 catches, and teams know that, and they know they're going to put plans together to try to stop him. But that said, we also have great wide receivers that we know they all have different strengths, and we've been saying that all year long. And for us, it's our job as coaches to put them in different spots to utilize their strengths. At the same time, they also know that they got to know these circles and spots within the offense and not just their particular route. You know what I mean? They got to understand the concept. And then what we do is we have a phenomenal quarterback that's able to spread the ball around. And I think it makes it difficult for defensive coordinators to go into a game and say, hey, listen, this guy, we're going to shut him down, and they can't throw it to these other 2 or 3 guys because they're just guys. See, we feel like we got a bunch of really good players at the wide receiver position that all have different strengths, and we just want to utilize them to the best of our ability.
Go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, we know that with an injury like Travis, is just because he comes back in the game doesn't necessarily mean he can make a short turnaround. How do you go about game planning when a guy like that is such an integral part of your offense? I know for like a backup quarterback, you have a separate game plan, but do you have to take the same kind of strategy as well when you've got a guy like Travis that you're not 100% sure if you'll have him on Thursday night?
Yeah, you always, whenever you have any type of injuries with any player, you always have to kind of go through and say, okay, this is what we think is going to happen. And based off of, Travis and or whoever the player is, we as a staff, just listening to Rick Burkholder and Veach and Coach Reed and just listening to where they think things are, we have to be able to put together what we think is going to happen, and then that contingency plan. And the other part too is these players, and I think to your point, Matt, is they gotta, if you're a certain position, that you have to also understand that if this guy can or cannot go, you have to know those circles and spots I keep talking about, the concept, and not just that one position that you're playing right now. And I think the way that we teach this offense, it allows those guys to do that. And so with guys like Travis, there's going to be defensive coordinators that go into every game with a plan to stop Travis, and we know that. So for us, it's the first element of what we want to do with him, but then it's the second element, or what's the defense going to do, and then I suppose you could say the third element of his health. So all of that is just a constant communication throughout the day of where guys are each week, and then we always are prepared with a contingency plan or a backup plan.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead,
Sarin. Coach, I'm curious. I know when Mahomes scrambles, everyone's got to stay alive, and he's kind of unique in the sense that he's got such a strong arm that the old come back to your quarterback doesn't really apply. And we even see him saying, "Go downfield, go down." Like he seems to direct guys to head on downfield. There was the one play where he threw it long. Is that maybe one where Valdez-Scantling could have broken that long, and maybe there was a miscommunication there? I know Pat was just trying to throw it away, but in that situation, is that one where you'd like to see whether it's him or somebody else kind of filling that void towards the back there and giving Pat somebody to maybe unload to?
And you're talking about the one in the end zone in the back right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think on that one there's a lot that goes on in that, and Quez did a good job of trying to get behind the defense and stay alive down the sideline, but so many things are happening so fast at that quarterback position. You got so many things that are going through your head, and Pat is so magical in those moments. And every now and then, when we try to practice it as much as we can in training camp, and in practice, we'll sprinkle some in now and then, but Pat's so natural at it. And I think on that one, they just happened to just miss. They were off on that one. And usually so many times you see that big play that happens during the scramble. But I thought they both did a good job. It just in the end, we didn't connect on it on that play in particular. But for sure, they both, the more we can get wide receivers and Pat growing in those moments, the more success we're going to have on broken plays.
Let's go next to Jesse Newell. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Matt, Rashid was really productive, excuse me, his limited snaps. I guess what is the thought process with the receiver rotation, and is he earning more snaps based off what he's done recently?
Yeah, I absolutely think he is. I think it's a growth process for him. And just as we've talked about and I've talked about, this process for these wide receivers, learning these positions and learning what they're supposed to do within the route does take time. And when you're a rookie wide receiver nowadays coming from college and there's so much no huddle, the sooner and quicker you can learn the verbiage that we have in the huddle. And then the next step is taking it to the line of scrimmage and being able to run the right route, and then followed by what's the defense do. And then, oh, by the way, you got to make the catch too. I think yesterday you saw that one catch he had over the middle of the field where he was running like a basic cross, and the throw was a little bit behind him, but he was able to maneuver himself and make a strong-handed catch and still get vertical. To me, that's immense growth from him where, week one in preseason, we may not have seen that, but he's starting to understand the different levels of that you see with the linebackers, safeties, finding different holes in zones. And then also his touchdown catch, of course, making a strong catch. He was physical, he was fast. And so what I think we're seeing right now with Rashid is somebody that's slowly gaining confidence in himself. He knows that we as coaches are slowly gaining more and more confidence in him. And, there's immense growth ahead of him. And I think that's the exciting part that we all see.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hello, Matt. I have another receiver question for you. When it comes to year two with Justin Watson, I'm not sure you guys maybe anticipated that he would be your leading receiver in terms of yards, but what has he sort of shown in year two? Maybe it is more about finding the right spots, but what jumps out to you as to why Justin Watson's been so successful so far?
Yeah, Nate, I think for him, it's that trust element that him and Pat have built over the last 2 years. You know about his speed last year when he got here, we knew, hey, this is a guy that can take the top off. This is a guy that has good hands. This is a guy that can run routes. But putting it all together in this system, in this offense is the first part. And then the next part is understanding how to mesh with Pat and get to a point to where yesterday in cover zero, Pat just throws the ball up in cover zero and trust him to go up and make a play. Not to mention also there was one earlier in the game where they hit us with a cover zero and Pat threw the ball up and J Watt was running down the seam. It was a little bit underthrown. And, naturally, I think he did a good job too, knocking the ball down and preventing an interception. So when you do that the first time and you throw a ball up to a guy one-on-one and there's not an interception, it's going to give you as a quarterback more trust in that guy and throwing it up a second time and seeing what he can do. And J Watt went up and made a strong catch, big play. And they're communicating more and more on the sidelines in between series. And all of that just is a credit to Pat and his relationships that he builds with these guys, and a credit to these wide receivers and their coaches, Coach Embry and Coach Blameyer of just, really making sure these guys talk through everything and create more and more trust, because we know somebody different in this offense every week can have a big game. And I think that's probably some of the strengths of this offense that we have.
We'll go last to Adam Teicher and then Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Matt, curious what you thought of the way you guys played yesterday against the Blitz, Vikings Blitz, just that part of it. And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah. So, Adam, we knew going into this game yesterday that Coach Flores was going to do a lot of different looks, and he's somebody, and probably more than any defensive coordinator in the league, going to throw more double A, double B, different types of fronts, looks, everybody 7-up, 8-up guys at you to try to get you to either, max protect or throw deep. And that's what he does. That's his DNA of who he is. And we knew that going into it. It's just a matter of when you're in it, how do you handle it? And so I thought the guys, our players, did a pretty good job at handling that for the most part. Now, there's a couple plays here or there where, like every game, where we feel like, hey, we could have been better on this play and made this play a little easier to be successful. But that's a part of playing the game, and that's a part of learning as we grow, through the scheme and protections and cover zero checks, whatever it is. But I thought our guys did a good job. I thought Pat did a good job of staying in there. There's so much that goes on within a play. It's one thing just to call play in the huddle and get to the line of scrimmage and then see what they're doing. But the next part of it is being able to make the play during created chaos is what they like to do, create is a bunch of havoc and chaos and make you think fast and throw the ball out quick and all that. And I thought our guys handled it really well. And situationally as well, I thought they did a good job in situational football, whether red zone, 4 minute, end of half, end of game. I thought I was really happy with the way they did that.
As you said, you were ready for a lot of what Minnesota did because that's been their MO. But how much of it when you get to the game day is how much can you prepare them for, and how much is just Pat adjusting and handling things, the protection unit adjusting and handling things, and the rest of the guys as well?
Yeah, that's the in-game adjustments that Pat is so good at, and I think Coach Heck and Coach Matei, they do a great job in communicating with the offensive line as a whole, again, in between series. So at times there's going to be some unscouted looks that we sit here and watch all week, and we see some tendencies that we think we're going to get. And maybe they show some now or then, but all of a sudden they show you some look that's completely different. And there's some teams and some quarterbacks that can handle it better than others. And I think we're at the top of the list of a quarterback that in those moments when he's out there within the play and there's an unscouted look, he creates calm out there and he makes everybody feel good with whatever it is, protection checks with the O-line and where they're supposed to go, with the wide receivers and knowing the tempo and timing of their routes, putting it all together. And then if something doesn't go the way we want it to go, it's not criticism. It's not pointing fingers in between series. It's coming over and trying to get answers and talking through it constructively. And that's why Pat is so great at what he does, is not so much just throughout the week, but also in game, to your point, Adam, of the adjustments that he makes and how he does it with the players. And of course, the coaches and the rest of the guys, they follow. And I think it's a really cool thing.
We'll go last to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Matt, and just quickly, what do you see from the Broncos defense?
Yeah, this is a defense that, you look at the personnel that they have, and they've had some changes here or there. They had a few injuries here or there. And, but we know, first of all, in this league, there's a lot of great NFL defenses, and you can take stats and throw it out the window. I mean, these guys play hard, and they're in a lot of these games, and I know right now their record may not show that, but they play hard, and the DNA of their defensive coordinator and Vance Joseph is an aggressive one, but yet playing fast and knowing where to be. So it's obviously a short turnaround for us, and just coming from the game yesterday, you get right on into it, and you got to dig into knowing what they do and don't do. But we just have a lot of respect across the board, and I think you always start with Surtain back there and just who he is and how he plays, and he's going to follow guys, and he's going to also make plays when the ball's in the air. And then that front seven, they move around pretty good, and I think they got some guys that get after the quarterback. So we just got to make sure we do what we do, stay within our system, and just know that they're a good defense.
Coach Nagy, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. See y'all. Take care.
See ya. If you're ready to start, we can get started.
Okay, go ahead. Fire away.
All right. We have any questions, guys? You might be getting off the hook easy here, Coach.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Oh, we got Jesse Newell. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, Dave, I'll go ahead and ask about it. The fake punt, can you just walk us through that and kind of what you saw? I know Andy called it a pretty cool play after the game.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool
for them,
play.
obviously. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we didn't know they were going to run a fake. I mean, I would have been surprised if they didn't run a fake right there. I mean, the fact that they didn't even go for it, on offense, and they put their punt team out. I mean, we knew it was going to be a fake. We had our our big guy or defense out there. Obviously, they just they got the yards they needed. It was a good play. It was a little bit of a misdirection. A handoff in the backfield got us a little out of position. Got well executed, good blocks, and well designed play that got the first down. Sooner or later, we got to stop these things. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting them. I mean, obviously, that's going to be a point. Obviously this week and going forward. We have to stop them. I mean, because the teams are going to keep doing this to us because they try to create. They want to stay on the field, obviously, and it seems like that's something that they're gonna they think they can get on us, and we have to stop them. So that's it on the old fake punt.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I know like the most precious thing you have. Sorry, I don't have my video on there. I know the most precious thing you have in a practice week is repetitions, and everybody's fighting for time with their different units and everything, but I don't know. Is there an element of like you can't be prepped for it all, right? Like everybody's, got some new nuance to it, and it's difficult to have every concept that can be thrown.
Yeah, I mean it's like the defense. They got to stop a 3rd and 2 play. I mean there's millions of combinations that you can stop. You can't practice it all. Just like you said, you can't. And even if you did practice it, you still got to stop it. You still got to beat the block, and you still got to. You got to make the tackle when you need to. So, it's 2 yards. It's hard to stop. And, you could practice, all kinds of different things, but you never know what you're going to get.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dave. Seren, you stole my question a little bit, but how much time can you spend or do you spend in a given week? And given that you might not see once a game, how much time do you spend?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out on me, but I get your question. We do spend, we once a week, we spend on Big Red. We call it Big Red. Which is our big defense out there for a punt situation. So, we practice different fakes every week, and that's really all you can do. They're on their toes. They know the fake is coming. But you still got to stop it, and it's tough. And, obviously we got to get some wins under our belt here.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Dave, I believe yesterday was the first game where you guys got to do an actual kickoff return.
Yeah.
Just wonder what you saw from your blocking so far, whether it is punt or in this case your first.
Yeah, it's been only one. I mean, obviously it's good that we got one. Now we can coach off it, and we got some young guys out there, but still, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad return. We got it out at least past the 25. We got it, I think, 28 or 27 yard line, which is a positive. But we could be better. There's a lot of things that we could coach off of on that. We could be a little bit more aggressive on our blocks and get better cutoff blocks on the backside. That's the guy that got us. That did eventually tackle us, but I like the way the returner, our returner hit it. I like that, and the way we responded to a short kick like that. I thought we did a good job.
And we'll go last to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Dave, just what do you see from the Broncos special teams? Is there certain guys that stand out? Kind of what do you see from there?
Yeah, obviously, first of all, their coaches are very good. They got Mike Westhoff and they got Ben Kotwicka, who both I have high respect and high regard for both of those coaches. And, right now they're a top 10 unit right now at this point in the season. So, and that's all phases. So we have our hands full there. But really the guy that stands out right now is the returner, Mims. He's got a 99-yard kickoff return. against touchdown return against Miami. And he does a good job, and in the punt return area as well. I mean, he catches the ball well, and he's dangerous, got great speed. He's a rookie, but I tell you, he's got a lot of talent. So he's a guy we have our hands full with.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, take care, guys.